Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show. It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show.
Welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans, the live streaming podcast where your favorite hosts bring us the most interesting topics of the week to discuss, and we'll ask the question, is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? And of course, we always try to have fun with some shenanigans of our own along the way with amazing guests, games, and spirited conversation. My name is Neo Nix. For today's show, there's a lot of court trials that have been going on with major implications, and today we're covering a few of them. This past week, a man who pleaded guilty to raping 4 teens was given no jail time. Then the January 6th insurrectionist, QAnon Shaman, was sentenced. And we'll also cover in quickfire Rittenhouse being acquitted of all charges, and a congressman saying the U.S. is better than Rob B's Canada. As always, we'll end the show with Shenanigans, the game show, and we're playing Password. Don't forget, you can stick around for the after show. And our after show streams live exclusively on our TLSfans.com Facebook group. You never know what we'll talk about, but I definitely plan on bringing up that awful video of football player Zach Stacy abusing his girlfriend. So you'll want to stick around for that. But before we get into our show, let me introduce you to our fantastic hosts for the next hour. The professor, journalist, editor, and sports intern mentor at ESPN out of Washington, D.C., Miss Liz E. Enders.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday Fun Day. Your girl is back. I was off for a slight spell last week, recovering from my booster shot. It took me out for 2 days, had absolutely
2
no
days.
energy. It felt like someone just like put a tube in my body and zapped every bit of energy out of me. I could not move. I wasn't necessarily in any pain, but I couldn't move. Like I
Wow.
literally was limping to the bathroom. And then, of
Wow.
course, my sweet, I say that gingerly, but my sweet cat Remy sitting next to me, looking at me the entire time, like, girl, get it together. And I'm looking back at him like, weren't you the one just crying and screaming at the vet a month ago and had me in tears? Like, you should be compassionate. But I'm
Also,
back and I'm
so the
back
booster
and I'm
shot took you
fully
out?
vaccinated. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry. I was going to say the booster
No, I was
shot
just
took
saying,
you out like that?
it took me out like that. In all honesty, I think it was a bit worse than the second shot that I had
Hmm.
because I couldn't do anything. And so even though I was watching you guys on the show last week, I was in bed on my phone. The phone was next to me, and I'm like typing gingerly, like, oh my god, stay awake. But I'm happily vaccinated, fully vaccinated now, feeling great. So and I have to travel in a couple of weeks for the first time since 2019. So
Wow.
I'm happy that I have all of my shots. I'm immunized, like our boy Ann Rogers. I'm immunized.
Yeah, yeah, I'm getting mine soon, so I was wondering how it might affect me.
I
So,
would just plan to take the next day off if I were you.
okay.
It really depends. Like my best friend got it. Her husband knocked out for 2 days. She got it over the weekend. She's fine. So it really just depends on the person and your body.
All right, good to know. We're happy to have you back for sure. All right, our gamer, tech guru, and bona fide rock star with the rock band Fallen Machine, coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Mr. Rob B. Rock.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday Fun Day. It's great to be here. It's great to have Dr. J with us again. It's been an interesting week. We celebrated my mother-in-law's birthday. And then I surprised Joe because my birthday was celebrated the week previously, and I received a gift card to one of our music stores. So went to the music store after her parents, and when the salesperson approached us, and said, "Hey, is there anything I can help you guys out with tonight?" I was like, "Yes, absolutely. My wife is here to pick out her first bass guitar, and she doesn't
Oh,
know I've just sprung this on her."
wow.
Wow.
So the guy was just like, "Oh, awesome!" And Joe was like, "What's going on?"
What?
So with a little bit of guidance, we got her into a pretty nice model. I'm pretty happy with it. But Joe, in true fashion, went for the low end, for the cheap, and she's just like, let's just get this. I'm like, "No, I'm not buying you $300 guitar. We're just going to buy another one once you get into it." So very excited to begin that journey with Joe. She's got her very first guitar, and she's always wanted to learn bass, so it's going to be a treat.
So she's gonna be joining Fallen Machine, I assume, right?
Well, she's gonna have to compete with Luke on that one, and Luke's like 6'5". He's got hands that reach across the screen. He plays a paddle. He doesn't play bass. That man is incredible.
Wow. All right.
I
But
have
I'm
a
willing
quick
to give her
question,
the
Rob.
audition.
I have a quick question, Rob. So, how much does a basic guitar usually cost? Like, what's the price range usually?
Well, the units that we were looking at were range from $300 to $3,000, but with
Okay.
any instrument, when you get into some of the upper echelon instruments and brands, you can be paying a pretty penny
Hmm.
for these instruments. Absolutely.
So, it's like a purse. It's like the average price for a purse.
But it appreciates in value.
Purses can appreciate in value. I do know that
Yeah,
much.
yeah, they do. They do. Trust me.
If
Trust
they're
me.
taken care of, depending on which ones you get. Yeah. Anyway. All right. And sitting in for Gianni Storm this week is our wonderful friend of the show, veterinarian Dr. Robin Johnson, lovingly known to us as Dr. J.
Dr. J.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, Dr. J.
Hi, guys. How are you? So glad to be here today.
Wow, definitely happy to have you. I know we called you last minute, so we're looking forward to a lot that you may have to say. So, because some of these topics are really, really deep. How was your week?
It was pretty busy. Getting up ready for Thanksgiving. Please do not feed your pets Thanksgiving dinner to
Oh
spare
my
us
gosh.
on Friday.
Oh, why not?
Mm.
Come on. I mean, so I'm curious. So why not?
Because you have like those really delicious but high fatty foods,
Hmm.
and dogs and cats can be very susceptible to pancreatitis. And so it can make for a lot of upset tummies. And I know everyone would prefer to be shopping on Black Friday instead of waiting to feed me. So
In the
Right,
emergency room.
right,
That's
right.
right. 'Cause Dr. J is an emergency room veterinarian. So
I don't think Remy has ever had any human food at all, except for cheese. A little bit of cheese, but that's it. I do not feed him table food at all.
yeah, I mean, there are some things that they can have, and of course, definitely in moderation. But Thanksgiving food tends to be kind of highly fatty and stuff. So no.
yeah, I typically don't give my dogs like, I don't just give them all of the leftovers, but I'll throw them a little treat here and there. Is that's okay, right? Just toss
An
them a little.
occasional treat,
Yeah,
occasionally it depends, but like especially if your pet already has sensitive stomach, then
sure.
just
Yeah, just
just
don't do it.
don't.
Just don't do it. All right. All right. So thank you for joining us, Dr. J. All right, let's jump into our quick fire. This season, our hosts share a topic, but we only have 3 minutes to discuss and 1 minute for audience comments. So we need you typing those comments fast. Also, don't forget we have the dreaded mute button for anyone that decides to keep talking after time is up.
Don't shush me. Don't shush me. I already told you. Don't shush me.
Okay, so we shared our thoughts on this in detail last week in our after show. So feel free to go in and check our YouTube page or listen on TLSpod.com. But since that show, we've gotten the actual verdict for Kyle Rittenhouse. And as I expected, he was acquitted on all charges for killing 2 people and maiming a third at a Black Lives Matter protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin, following the police shooting of Jacob Blake. Now, I just want to get your quick thoughts on Rittenhouse being acquitted on all charges after just a 4-day deliberation by the jury. Let's start with Robbie.
I have to echo Anthony Huber's parents because that verdict means that there's no accountability for the person who murdered their son. It sends an unacceptable message that armed civilians can show up in any town, incite violence, and then use the excuse or the reason that they're in danger to justify shooting people in the streets. I'm appalled. I'm appalled at what's happening in America. Am I surprised? Not entirely,
That's a
but
big question.
man, I hate having neighbors like that. I really, really do sometimes.
Lizzie, your thoughts?
Let me just correct Rob. Armed white civilians, okay? Particularly armed white male civilians can get away with this. I am not the least bit surprised. Um, I kind of flinched a little bit when I saw the verdict come in, but it did not surprise me the least little bit. I kind of was like, okay, this is America. This is what I'm used to. This is what we're used to. Nothing has changed. Honestly, for me, it kind of wasn't even news really, because I didn't expect anything different. And that just is a testament to my faith or lack of faith in the justice system here.
Yep.
And I agree with Rob, though, that it sends a strong message to certain people in these United States about their privilege and how the justice system sees them, especially the judge in this particular case, right? Who was very accommodating to Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
So I just,
Mhm.
I appreciate the one thing I appreciate, and hopefully, knock on wood, this will, carry forth. There haven't been any riots.
Yeah. Let me
There
get Dr. J
hasn't
in
been
here real quick.
a lot of unrest with this verdict, and I appreciate that.
Dr. J, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just disappointed because you cross state lines to go someplace that you didn't have to be and you didn't need to be. And I'm just really concerned about why his mother has not had any charges for taking him there to the first place. I have two 16-year-olds, and if they had said to me, "Mom, I want to go someplace that I knew there would have unrest and danger," I would never have taken them there to begin with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Totally agree with that. Let's get to some comments online real quick. Jacqueline Robinson, no one should be surprised by this verdict. The judge made it very easy, including the refusal to
Mhm.
call the victims exactly what they were, victims.
Yeah.
Lindsay Holmes says, self-defense, there's still hope for the U.S. Jose says, great question at Dr. J. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in agreement with Lizzie on this one. George Fournier says, the verdict is somewhat surprising, especially the weapons charges being dismissed. Not that it will bring the individuals back, but the family should be successful in suing civilly for damages, though. And that was the thing for
Mhm.
me, that he was acquitted on all charges. All charges. Jacqueline
And it should
Robinson
be
just
noted.
made a comment real quick. His mother is busy grifting on his behalf. She already allowed this callous son of hers to drop out of school. Real quick, Lizzie.
I
15
was just
seconds.
going to say, in terms of a civil suit, the burden of proof is much less in a
Mhm.
civil suit, so it's possible that
Yeah.
they can get some type of accountability, not justice, but accountability in a civil suit. So we'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to our next quickfire. We may talk a bit more about this in the after show. Robbie, this is yours.
All right. So this week, in a speech to Congress, Republican Glenn Grothman took a swipe at Canada, Africa, the Middle East, on and on. So he believes that Canada and lots of other places are less successful than the US of A, and offered some ideas as to why they are countries that fail. Literally said that. So he went on to claim that in Canada, those divisions involve language, and he lumped us in with a long list of other failed countries. But he began his speech thusly: I never felt Canada was quite as successful as America. That's because, to a degree, their elections pitted the French speakers against the English speakers. So he just continued to say that in this manner, it's just the elections in the Middle East, the Sunnis versus Shiites. You look at elections in Africa, it's one tribe against another tribe. And I'm just curious, folks, Is America more successful than Canada? Do you share the same opinion as this Republican?
Let's start with Lizzie.
Again, white privilege. This was a conversation that kind of started or generated from our former President Trump when he was talking about shit countries,
Shithole
outside of the
countries.
US, shithole countries outside of the US. He didn't name Canada, Rob, but he named, a lot of third world or poor countries, countries where the population wasn't predominantly white. In this case, I just think it's just a stupid question. It's a stupid, point to raise. Like, why are we comparing, our country's better than this country? What are you talking about? We have our own shit here in America.
A lot of shit.
And a lot of Republicans, a lot of white male Republicans try to jump over hoops to not acknowledge that. Like, I love America, I love being American, but we are not perfect, far
Mm,
from it. So
yeah.
I'm not going to sit there and be like, we're better than Canada, although I do blame
Let's,
Canada.
let's bring
But
Dr.
I'm
J
not
in
going to,
here.
I'm not going to, have
Let's
this
get Dr. J in
conversation.
here.
Oh, this is why we're greater. What?
Yeah. Dr. J.
Healthcare. First of all,
All right. All right. We're sorry. Dr. J. Go ahead.
I'm just confused about what his metrics are for success. I mean, because saying like it's one group against another, isn't that the point of an election? It's one group against the other. And whether it be religion, whether it be race, whether it be tribe, whether it be political party, there's always like one group against another in an election. I don't, and I just don't understand the metrics of which he's saying we're more successful. I mean, they can have Justin Bieber back in Canada for real.
Yeah.
You can have
listen, there are a lot of Canadians also
Okay,
back up north.
but keep Celine. If we take Justin back, you got to keep Celine.
No, 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 we don't want her either.
All right. Robbie, I'm going to give you about 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's like Dr. J was saying. It comes down to the metrics. Was he looking at income inequity? Was he looking at gun violence, rampant and overt racism, biases in judicial systems, universal health care, crippling debt, bipartisan politics that have divided your nation, totally polarized, electoral fraud, loss of accountability in your social fabric, on and on. So again, what metrics did he use? I love that question.
Yeah. All right. There's a comments online. The whole comments, this is Jacqueline Robinson. The whole commentary is bizarre. Canada is successful in that their citizens have free health care and no person will ever go into debt paying for it. Lizzie, you just commented. I still blame Canada. All right. Olivia says that's the colonizers' game. And this was my thought, actually. That's the colonizers' game. Always put people against others. They have destroyed the world with those games. And that was actually my thought as I was thinking about it. That's just the Republicans' way of doing things. You're always pitting others against others. It's always them and they, thems and theys. So, all right, that was a good quickfire discussion. Let me ask you: is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? Almost forgot. Is this truth,
shenanigans.
Come on now.
lies, and
Shenanigans on this guy.
shenanigans? I got shenanigans. And I'm going to ask for Kyle Rittenhouse: is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
I'm sorry. I
Lord.
still have yet to create my bullshit board, but that's what that is.
Lies,
Bullshit.
shenanigans for Kyle Rittenhouse. What do you say, Dr. J, for Kyle Rittenhouse?
Sad. I don't think I can't put it in either category.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. All right, that was good. Good hot topics. Appreciate that. All right, so now it's time to go a little deeper. Well, before we get that, let's tell you about our sponsor for today's quickfire, Jess Super Tonics, immune support, digestive health, energy, hydration, detoxification, and more amazing health benefits await you and your family. Shop jesssupertonics.com. All right, now it's time to get a little deeper into the headlines.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Lizzie, you wanted to talk a little bit about this rape case.
So this is a case of when the act was committed of a 16-year-old named Christopher Belter, who was having people over at his house, as a lot of 16-year-olds do. Parents weren't home. And he would invite, have parties, or he would invite girls over. In one particular case with one of his victims, the young lady came over because she was supposedly visiting his sister. And so she came over to have a sleepover with, his sister, and he raped her. Not only her, but in three other incidences, raped three other young ladies. He was convicted of those rapes, right? For some reason, I guess because he was charged as a juvenile, he for those four rapes, he faced only up to 8 years in prison, right? So that's maybe a part of this conversation. But when he was sentenced this week, the judge gave him no jail time. Instead of the maximum 8 years in prison, he was given 8 years of probation because the judge didn't feel that it was appropriate to send him to jail. And so, my question to you is, what's the level of appropriateness here? Why did this young man, who again convicted of raping four teens, okay, why did he only get 8 years probation? And look at him, looks like a good old American boy, right? This is kind of harkens back to Brock Turner from 2016. I don't know if you guys remember Brock Turner. He was a Stanford University student who got caught in the act raping a young woman who was passed out, intoxicated, outside in the alley. Two people rolled up on him while he was in the act of raping her. Convicted, but the judge refused to give him any jail time. I think he got
6
jail. I think he
months.
got like
6
6 months.
6 months.
That judge was eventually
And probation, 3 years probation.
fired, stripped of, his judicial duties. But what's going on here? Like, first of all, what's appropriate?
Start with Robbie.
Well, I disagree with the judge. I think that jail is appropriate, but this is definitely another one of those cases where privilege comes into play. This is a young man that comes from an affluent family. His father, Christopher Belter, is a partner at a law firm where these people are pulling in $1 million a year salaries. And the parents are also defendants named in this case because their home, like you said, was known to be this is a party venue for the rich kids. And when they
The
showed up,
parents
they
were
actually
providing the
arrested.
alcohol, right?
They were providing alcohol. They were providing marijuana. So the parents were complicit in creating this very lax environment with no restrictions. And unfortunately, this young man at the time, I know that reading through some of the articles, as someone who claims to have been watching pornography since the age of 7 as a coping mechanism. I'm not sure exactly what he's coping with.
I was going to ask that.
I mean, I was watching Fred
Yeah.
Flintstone and Tom and Jerry at 7. I don't know about anybody else.
Right. Right. So, I mean, if this is a
Sesame
kid who's
Street,
been
Electric
watching
Company.
porn since he's 7, does not have a real world view on sex, sexuality, consent, and very clear in his abuses of these 4 young women. And it's absolutely disgusting. The justice in question, Judge Matthew J. Murphy III, I read, he's pushing 70 and he's going to be forced into retirement because he's reached that age. And when I read about his decision making, I'm not ashamed to say that I actually prayed over what is the appropriate sentence in this case, because there was great pain. Well, I do believe that he prayed on this, because if we go back to the Old Testament in Deuteronomy, if a man takes a virgin against her will, then guess what? He gets the reward of that woman becoming his wife. So there's no real
Yeah, I remember that.
punishment for it.
Yeah.
And this is a travesty. It really, really is shameful that someone with money, power, and the right in home is getting off on something that he admitted to. It's the punishment does not fit the crime.
All right.
And even in his interim, his part of his probation was that he was not supposed to be doing pornography, which he admitted to violating. He'd installed software on his computer to circumvent that court order. So he was already in violation of his probation and got 8 more years of probation because he's demonstrated that he's a stand-up guy who can follow the rules.
All right. Let me get to these comments online before I get to Dr. J. So Jacqueline Robinson says the level of appropriateness for serial rapists is castration. Full stop. They don't deserve mercy or seats on the Supreme Court. Interesting. All right.
Ooh, ooh. Are we talking about a Supreme Court justice? I'm sorry. Are we
Yeah.
talking about a Supreme Court justice?
All right. Jeanette Brown says white male judges question mark. All right. Jose says great role models. Sad face. A porn since 7. There's something wrong right there. George Fournier, in certain cases, the prosecutor can apply to have the youth prosecuted as an adult. It normally takes place in extreme cases. The fact that he was charged on 3 separate occasions should have caused the prosecution to do so. Dr. J, real question. I mean, slightly different question, and it's related to what Rob was saying. He was talking about pornography at 7. Do you think that pornography at a young age influences this type of behavior?
I don't think it necessarily influences this kind of behavior, but I do think it definitely taints the reality of the person because and how they view sex, how they view women, how they view consent, because it is, definitely not a real life view of how women should be treated. I'm also really, really concerned in this case because here drug use, alcohol use, partiness is being used as an excuse for him.
Mm,
Whereas other children, because he was a child when this happened, and other children, it's used to damn them. It's used to say, but they did marijuana,
mm.
but they did, and to turn them into this
When you say
terrible
other
person.
children, are we saying black children?
Trayvon Martin.
I'm
Trayvon
saying,
Martin.
saying that right now it does appear to be black, brown, poor. You
Okay.
know,
Black,
those with
brown,
means.
poor.
Yeah, like those without means, then their drug use, their lack of parental supervision, their their missteps are counted against them. And here we're supposed to feel sorry for this man. Oh, he was this, that, and the third. Rape is rape. And these women, these young girls, these women will have to live with this and the trauma that comes with rape for the rest of their life. It will affect how they have relationships with other people. It will affect the way that they feel, their safety, and how they feel in certain situations. It's going to affect the way that they interact with, men in going forward. They're going to live with this for the rest of their life. And to sit there and say to him that jail time is not the appropriate sentence is a slap in the face for any woman or male too, because men get raped too. Any person who has been raped, it says that your rape, that you should have just consented and it wouldn't be a problem. Like that
Hmm.
is not okay.
It's not.
And that, he should probation, but he has already violated the stipulations of the court. The court said do not watch pornography, and he downloads some kind of program, so he's allowed to do it. He's laughing in the face because I feel like his wealth and the
Hmm.
community that he has grown up in has made him feel that the rules don't apply to him, which is kind of the constant situation that we see a lot of times in this case is that those with wealth and privilege feel like the rules apply to other people, but I am different. You are not different, sir. You have seriously injured these women for the rest of their lives. Karma is a female dog.
Bitch.
You can,
It's a
well,
bitch.
you may not
Bitch.
want to
I'll
cuss,
say it
but
for her.
you're yeah,
I'll say it for her. I'm a
you're
heathen. I'll say it for her.
okay.
Bitch.
Go ahead. You're a heathen.
Mhm.
I just want to point out a couple of things. So we talked about Brock Turner, and like this particular article I'm showing here mentions how status and race in the Stanford rape case, where Brock Turner's mugshot was actually withheld from the press, whereas typically when we see victims who are black and brown, you would be seeing mugshots. But
Mhm.
in my research, and this is where I want to go with this, in my research, I noticed a trend that was just appalling to me. And yeah, we were talking about, I'm glad that Dr. J pointed out uh, black, brown, and poor. But I still noticed this trend of men, boys, young males being convicted of or confessing to rape of teen girls and getting little to no jail time. I just want to go through them really quickly. So I found this one, family outrage after men get probation. This is Clarence Williams and Tommy Williams. Um, Another one here, man who pleaded guilty to raping a 14-year-old girl um, won't be included on an online sex database and received probation as well. This is Shane M. Pish. I think that's how you say his name. This is another one. Iowa teen gets probation after
A
raping a
1-year-old?
one-year-old
What?
girl on camera. This
Please
is
stop.
Praglin
Please stop.
Grooms, 19-year-old.
Please stop.
Teen who admitted raping 12-year-old gets probation, Facebook ban. This is a 15-year-old teen. His name is Stephen Pierre Williams. Another one, teen accused of rape gets probation, surviving group says judge's ruling may deter other victims. Teen accused of rape gets probation. This is his name is David Becker. And then another one, Medford man sentenced probation for rape of middle school girls. His name is Joshua Campos. And it was all around different races, different ethnicities. Um, but all these people are getting probation. Is the problem really about privilege? That's my real question.
Mhm.
If
It
all
is
these
about
people are
privilege.
getting probation, or is
You
it
have
deeper than that?
you
Absolutely.
have
It's about
male
privilege,
you have
but not
male privilege.
male privilege. Exactly. It's not in this particular case, it's
Male
not
privilege.
race-based privilege.
Hmm.
It's gender
Mhm.
privilege.
Hmm.
It's an indictment of how we view women and women's rights in this country. If you go back to the Brock Turner case, this was a young woman who was intoxicated, passed out, and he took advantage of her. He raped her. And that was the focal point of that trial. Well, she should have never been drunk in the first place. Okay. Look at, the current case where we're talking about, Christopher Belter. Why did the young girl go into his room? He invited her into his room. Well, she should have known better. Like there's never any accountability for the actual perpetrators. It always goes back to the female victims. Well, we have to be astute and stand up. And we have to be, always following the rules. It doesn't matter that he was drunk, that he violated me, that he assaulted
Mhm.
me. As a woman, I should know better. And so, yeah,
And
I think there is a privilege. Like James Brown said, this is a man's world.
Dr.
This
J.
is a man's
and
world.
we also have to remember that rape is not about the act of sex. Like
Mm,
people, I
Mhm.
mean, it's a sexual act, but it's not about the act of sex. It is an act of power. It's an act of
Yeah.
exerting power over someone else. And we, as women, have been, taught that we are supposed to be powerless, that things are supposed to be allowed to happen to us. I mean, we can go back to the Renaissance days where women did not quote unquote wear underwear because they were supposed to always be available to the lords and the lieges for
mm,
whatever they wanted. And that, we have this society that constantly tells women, we expect you to be virtuous and protect your virtue, but you need to also just give it up to the man if he comes up to you and says he wants it. And this power trip that this is what is, it's being excused by people. I mean, in across the board. I mean, there's women that subscribe to this too
Oh,
because
yeah,
they
absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
is just
I mean,
that,
I'm often
I don't know.
appalled by the number of women who, in a lot of these social media threads, on
assist them,
Twitter,
support
online,
them.
who who support these guys, who
Mhm.
defend these guys, and who, pass judgment on the women. Well, what was she doing there? Why was she wearing that? Why was she giving off certain signals? It's a horrible, horrible reflection of what we really feel about women in society as it relates to our having our own safe space, our
Mhm.
rights, our sexuality,
Mhm.
and what we are allowed to demand. If you look at, a lot of these cases across the board, it's not so much, we are going to try to get justice for the victim. It's giving considerations for the accused.
Mhm.
In Brock Turner, the judge was concerned about his potential. If we put him in jail, what how are we hindering his future potential as a white male who was a Stanford student? The same thing is happening here with this young man, Christopher Belter. Like, okay,
Mhm.
yeah, he may have at 16 raped these four girls, but think about his future. Think about what he could do as a white male in America.
Mhm.
And so, there again, as women, our rights aren't being considered. Our justice for us isn't being considered.
All right.
Our right to not be assaulted, our right to say, no, I don't want you to touch me,
Mhm.
is not being
I mean,
considered. And
because
I don't, I'm sorry, go ahead, Robin.
I was gonna say because I'm thinking like Mary Kay Letourneau went to prison when when the role is reversed. She, had sex with a student and all. She went to prison.
Yeah.
No one didn't feel that, her
Mar-
future, was
Mary Kay Letourneau, she had sex with one of her children, her
He
students
was
of her
12.
class. He was right. He
He
was
was
yeah.
12.
And she was a
had
teacher. He was
had
12.
two
Yeah.
had two kids with him. But yeah, Robin's
Some
right.
people may not know who that is. Yeah.
We didn't have this conversation about, what she could potentially contribute to society
True.
as a woman.
All right. So
But
there's
yet
some
we keep having these conversations about these young men, whether
okay.
they be black or white.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Now there is a
I think this
discrepancy. I did
gender.
find that there was a discrepancy in the treatment of blacks versus whites, but I just found it appalling the number of men, young boys that were just let off. It was just, and it was across all
Mhm.
races. No, let me get
And
to these comments
what
online.
people
Okay.
I was just going to say very quickly, what people aren't really considering also, this happens a lot in high school.
Mm-hmm.
It happens a lot
Mhm.
in college
College.
with athletics, with football players and basketball players. And because these guys are stars on their teams in their community,
Yeah.
the community rallies behind the accused
Okay.
and
So.
says, shame on you, young lady, for
Mm-hmm.
not getting in line and allowing, first of all, for being there and allowing yourself to be vulnerable to be raped.
Ridiculous. All right. Jeanette Brown says, we wonder why people don't report rape. Paulette Bertrand calls it sickening. Jose says there is no accountability. Um,
None.
all right. And then there's also Jacqueline Robinson says, she says it's male privilege. It's appalling. Uh,
Yeah.
Paulette Bertrand, it's an ongoing battle because of that. Um, Jeanette Brown says shaming, blaming victims, narcissistic abuse. Uh, George Fournier says sentencing principles often require a judge to assess whether an offender can be rehabilitated. That is often the focus when dealing with youths, which results in these situations. Judges are often hesitant to sentence youths to stiff sentences for fear it will ruin their lives. But what about the victims? So, Robbie,
Exactly. What
I
about
want
the
to,
victim's life?
I want to
What
ask you,
about the
Robbie,
victim's life?
what do you think about this concept of male privilege? And do you think that age should play a factor in terms of the sentencing, considering they are minors?
Well, I think George kind of summed it up nicely there, where where the judges are taking into consideration these young people's lives. But if you're omitting the fact that they have run a train wreck through 4 other people's lives. I mean, and that's pretty straightforward. This kid should suffer some kind of consequence for destroying 4 people's lives. The concept of age, I'm yeah, I guess it no, it really doesn't. At the end of the day, if someone commits a sexual assault, they need to be rehabilitated, or they need to receive some kind of help or punishment, whatever the case may ascribe.
I agree. I agree with the
I
punishment. What do you think about punishment for a minor, Liz?
I listen, and I think I've like briefly spoken about this before on the show. You know, I was sexually abused when I was 10. My abuser at the time was 16. Okay, a family member, 16. Because he was a juvenile. This was in the 80s. Because he was a juvenile, you know, he got sentenced to, you know, a very light juvenile, you know, detention center or whatever. I looked him up several years ago just to see, you know, if he one was still alive and the trajectory of his life. After my, and I don't know, well, one, it wasn't just me. Like in my incident, he was also abusing his neighbor,
Mm.
who was my exact same age. But after he, you know, served his sentence for the crime he committed against me, he subsequently, you know, moved to North Carolina, was convicted of rape in North Carolina, moved to Colorado, was convicted of rape in Colorado, moved to Utah, was convicted of rape there. So no, I don't think we should be lenient with a 16-year-old. Jacqueline Robinson said, you know, castration. Honestly, as a victim, I don't think castration should do it. I honestly would like a bullet in the dick. Shoot him right
Wow.
in the area. Shoot him right in the area. Weapon versus weapon.
Wow.
I don't think age should be a consideration here because I was 10. I didn't understand what happened to me. And it took me a very long time internally to get over that. So imagine these other victims. At least I got a little bit of justice. At least, you know, he got some jail time for me. Imagine these young women in this case with Christopher Belter who are sitting there listening to this sentence in court. Like, okay, so what was the point of all
Mm,
of this?
Yeah.
What was the point of me
yeah.
exposing myself and telling my story? Where in the courtroom, everyone's asking, you know, well, why did she go in his room? Why was she drinking at the party? Like it just it makes no sense to me. And I'm not one of those people who, you know, look at a lot of these teen offenders and feel bad. I don't. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, most men need to really take a look and ask the women in your life, and more women than you think have been abused of some sort. And,
Yeah.
you know, prevent.
Yeah.
But also too, I mean, Robin pointed it out, I think, a little bit. We really haven't talked about the parents here. The parents, you know, are equally as culpable. Supplying the alcohol and the marijuana for these parties, for these teens to come over to get drunk, intoxicated, inebriated to begin with. Like, what are you doing? It's like Kyle Rittenhouse's mom. What are you
Yeah.
doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
There
Uh,
needs to be laws against parents in these situations
I
as
agree.
well.
They should be held culpable. All right. Jose says, Lizzie, I agree. Right in the dick hole.
Ah, ah, ah,
Come
ah.
on, come on.
Right in the
My
dick hole. Man,
Wow.
Republican
that's
Newman is coming out. Republican Newman is coming out. Shoot him right in the dick. Right in the dick.
All right. All right. Let's get into our last topic real quick. All right. Thank you, Lizzie, for sharing.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right,
what are we
Robbie.
calling on that one?
Oh,
What are we
thank you for
calling
that.
on that one?
What are we calling? Are we calling
Hmm.
truth, lies, or
Oh,
shenanigans?
oh. Again, I gotta do a bullshit,
Shenanigans,
man. I gotta do a
bullshit,
bullshit one, man.
lies.
What are you
Yeah.
calling, Dr. J?
And this is the parents out there. Train up your
Well,
children. Teach your sons to respect women. Teach them to respect women. No means no. That you do not have the right to possess a woman's body. You do not. You do not.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole group of people in Congress who believe differently.
Well,
All
yeah, I
right.
mean, in this country, it took a while. I think it was only in the 80s where laws were created where it used to be not against the law to rape your wife.
Yep.
You could
Yes.
rape your wife up
True.
until the
You
80s.
could. That's very true.
Yeah.
I think it was the 80s that it happened because I remember when that
Yeah,
came out.
yeah.
All right. All right. Now we'll get into our next topic: truth, lies, or shenanigans.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Robbie, you've got the QAnon. Actually, you've got our topic from Jacqueline Robinson at
Oh,
TLSfans.com topic.
I did inherit this one from the TLS fans page. So thank you, Jacqueline. So I think that we can all remember or visually create the image in our minds of the QAnon Shaman, Mr. Jacob Hensley. And I think we all remember him for his enthusiasm, his
His enthusiasm.
costume, during the January 6th insurrection. But a federal judge on Wednesday sentenced him to 41 months in prison for his role in the deadly January 6th attack by former President Donald Trump's followers. Fun fact, he is the second of these rioters to receive this penalty, the 41 months. The first was an MMA fighter by the name of Scott Fairland, who attacked police. And I found it interesting that his MMA record is 0-1-0, just like his fourth record. So I wanted to get reactions from people. Do we feel that this is justice being served? Is 41 months enough for the role that these people played on the attack on Capitol Hill on January 6th?
Let's start with Dr. J.
I think this is about as much as we're going to get. Is it enough? I don't know. This whole debacle of that happened and the fact that these folks have claimed everything but a child of God as to the reason of why they should have been allowed to act a fool on our nation's capital during a passage of power is beyond me. And I'm surprised that he got prison at all. Quite honestly, they've been slapping people on the wrist for less. So I will take his 41 months.
3.5 years.
He's still getting his vegan meals in prison, and he's still getting, a lot of things that a lot of people sitting in prison are not getting. So,
Is he
sit
still
there
getting
and
his
see.
vegan meals for real?
Uh,
absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
um, he's trying to say that he has learned. I don't know if he has. I think he's just talking a game. I don't trust him. And we'll see him in 40 months,
Lizzie, what
as
are your
long as
thoughts?
we time off.
Again, I am often disheartened by the lack of outrage from the justice system about what happened on January 6th. It just boggles my mind. This was a terrorist attack. It doesn't matter that these were white folks, white Americans, who were the terrorists. This was a terrorist attack against the American government. And yet, all of these people have been treated with 41 months? What? I would have given his ass life. All of them, life.
Like,
Life in prison.
I don't know if I give
Again,
it
the
life.
entire US government was in the Capitol that day. If they had breached, I mean, it would have been over for us.
Mhm.
They had no right to be there. And so 41 months, I'm just like, okay, at least he got sentenced to something.
Yeah.
But it should, I
It's
think his
it's the
sentence is,
longest sentence they've gotten out of it, right? Out of all
which is
the
laughable,
January 6th, yeah.
laughable. Because we have people who've been sentenced for weed
I mean,
longer
I
than
guess the
this.
question is, what would they, if you wanted a longer sentence, what would they have charged him with?
The same
Well,
charges.
the same charge. I
The
know that
same
the
charges.
prosecution was looking for 51 months over 41 months. I mean, it's one additional year, but I don't know what the proper punishment or proper time of incarceration would be.
I think we need better
Do you know
laws to address
in
this.
other countries,
To be
he
treason.
would have been executed. Yeah, he would have been executed.
Yeah.
Like,
Publicly.
so what does that say about our respect for the U.S. government?
Yeah,
that
I agree
we're
with
just
you.
coming up?
I mean, we've had laws for treason for years, which include execution. So that is on the books, and I don't know why we wouldn't pursue that at least um, for these criminals, at least treason.
Mhm.
Again,
Robbie?
I can see the Capitol from my apartment. Like, I have a view of the Capitol from my building. So I didn't see, the insurrection.
So you can see
But
Russia from your house. I'm just...
I can see the Capitol from my house. I am no Sarah Palin. However, I was triggered and upset and worried that entire day. I thought, this is it, y'all. We about to go down.
I thought so too.
And I kept saying the entire day, shoot them. What are you guys waiting for?
I was thinking the
kept
same thing.
saying, shoot them.
Shoot them.
And so I don't understand why we are treating these people with kid gloves. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me. None.
Khalif
Because-
Browder sat in prison for longer and was never even
Uh,
charged over pulling
Speak
back.
on it. Speak on it. Speak on it.
Okay.
Wait, remind us who that
And
is.
imagine if this was Kyle Rittenhouse's protest. If this was a Black
Khalif-
Lives Matter protest on the steps of the Capitol and Black people had rushed into the Capitol, imagine how different this would have looked.
But remind us
Imagine
who
what the outcome would have been.
Remind us who that is.
Khalif Browder was a teenager who was accused of stealing a backpack, which ultimately he did not do. He was sent to Rikers, and he was never formally charged, but spent 3 years, a little over 3 years in prison. Never charged over a theft of a backpack that has come out that he did not steal, and that experience ultimately led for him to take his own life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Robbie, you've got
And-
about 40 seconds.
All right. So one thing that I found interesting about this read is that while in detention, Chansley has been diagnosed by prison officials with transient schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, and anxiety. So is that something that should be taken into consideration when we're laying down the penalty on him? And the one ask I have, now that he's been formally charged, he's going to do some jail time, can we please stop calling him a shaman? Because I mean, I take him about as seriously as I take Fred and Barney seriously when they're doing their thing with the Loyal Order of the Water Buffaloes.
All right, real quick. So what was the question? Repeat the question for Lizzie and Dr. J.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious, just with the diagnosis of schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety, should that factor into his penalties?
Dr. J, what do you think?
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are schizophrenic and in jail because of their
Bipolar.
schizophrenia.
Yeah.
They're in jail because of their diagnosis, not in spite of it.
Yeah.
And who who diagnosed him?
Yeah.
I mean, just because you lost your mind that day? No.
That is another good point. That's another good point. I totally agree with you. I think it can play a role in some cases. I don't think this one, because everyone
Right,
suffers from some
accommodation.
mental illness or some issue.
Listen, I am batshit crazy.
Mhm.
Okay. But I guarantee you that I would not be afforded the accommodations that these people have been.
Yeah. All right.
You
So
get your vegan diet. I'm sure of it.
you're vegan.
But can I get my vodka though? Can I get my vodka?
To your prison purse, sure.
My commissary. Put some money in my commissary, y'all.
All right, let me get to these comments really quickly. Terry Powell Brown says, "Hey, Robin Johnson." Mike Winter said, "Vegan and organic meals." Jose says, "The shaman is shameful, not so tough anymore." Jacqueline Robb says, "It's not enough, but it's a shame that he took the criticism of several prominent judges about the light sentences these insurrectionists received before a judge got serious about this. Mike Winter, he also got credit for time served, so he will likely be out early if he behaves. George Fournier, he will be out in time to lead another insurrection if Trump runs again and wins the next election. Please don't let that. We cannot let that happen.
God damn, I hope my cousin's wrong.
Jacqueline Robinson, a lot of us are still traumatized what happened that day. The DOJ has been asleep at the switch. And
look, y'all,
last thought.
it hurt my soul. I'm just gonna say this. It hurt January 6th to see that on television in live time, what was happening, it hurt my soul as an American, as a Washingtonian, as a human. Like I can't even. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Totally agree. Totally agree with you both. All right, what are we calling? Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Again, I need a bullshit. I need a bullshit board.
Yeah, this is
man.
I mean,
yeah.
it's true.
Today's episode was
a
all about
sentence.
shenanigans. We should have just had all shenanigans. It should have been all shenanigans. This
I
episode.
promise. By next show, I will have my bullshit board.
All right, by next show, we're gonna look for it. We're gonna see some funny stuff. All right, so now we get to move on to our game show, which is going to be really interesting.
Cheaters time, the Sunday cheater time. Sunday cheater time.
Yeah, we got to lighten the mood up a little bit. All right, for today's game is brought to you by Intuit Online Boutique. Get into it, ladies. It's time to slay in the latest fashion trends on the Intuit Online Boutique. Go small, go support small businesses holiday season. www.tointuit.com. Tointuit.com. All right, today's game is Password. And our guest host, Dr. J, will be our guesser. So this will be a Robbie versus Lizzie battle. The rules are you must give one-word clues.
We already know who's going to win, so I don't even know why I'm participating. But go ahead.
One-word clues. After each word, you have to give Dr. J a chance to guess. After she guesses, if it's not right, give the next one-word clue, and so on, back and forth for 15 seconds.
Fluff my hair.
You cannot use the word, any part of the word, or gestures. You get a point for each correctly guessed word, and person with the most points wins the final thought for the show. All right. Now, just to let you know, all of the words today are related to the topics from today's show. All right?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to be putting Dr. J. Just give me a thumbs up to make sure you're in silence. Okay, Dr. J? All right. So we're starting with Lizzie. Lizzie, your password is guilty. All right. Got the password. I got Dr. J back. Lizzie,
Okay.
start
You
with
said
your...
one word?
Give
You said
one-word
one word?
clues. One-word clue. Let her answer. If she doesn't get it, give her another word, one-word clue. Let her answer. Are you ready? Are you all set? Okay. Start now. Go.
Opposites.
Attract.
Guilty.
That's the word.
I'm gonna say innocent.
But there was such a method. Like Liz had a plan of attack.
She would have had it
She
too.
executed.
She would have had it.
Conviction, man. Such conviction.
She would have had it too. I no doubt Dr. J would have got that one.
I was ready, man. I was like, okay, easy.
All right.
Let me take a drink. I got you next time, Dr. J. I got you next time, girl.
All right. This is going to be, I'm giving you lucky. I'm giving Robbie a kind of a hard one. Are you ready?
Aw,
Dr. J, give me
man.
that thumbs up. Give me that thumbs up. All right. She's silenced. All right. Your password is shaman.
Your password is.
Okay. Dr. J is back now.
Okay.
All right. Robbie, you can start now.
Medicine man.
Shaman.
Damn
Love it,
it.
buddy.
That was good. Good job.
First of all, that's 2 words.
I was gonna say that
First
is
of all,
well, if a
that's 2
hyphenated,
words.
it could be one word.
It
2 words.
is.
Medicine man
It
is
is a
not
profession.
hyphenated. It's 2 words. It's 2 words. But okay. Got the cheating started early. All right. Let's go. Let's go. Let's
All right.
go.
All right, Dr. J, I'm putting you in silence. Lizzie, your password is Congress. Ready? Dr. J is back. You have 15 seconds, Lizzie. Let's go.
Senate.
Yes.
Congress.
Yes.
That girl!
Yes.
That girl!
Yes. All right. That's tied up. All right. We're putting Dr. J back into silence. All right, Robbie. Your password is probation. Probation. All right. Dr. J is back. Robbie, you have 15 seconds starting now.
Punishment.
Crime.
Unjailed.
What?
Unjailed.
Free. Innocent.
No.
God, no.
Probation.
No, be sad.
Unjailed. I guess that's a good word.
Trying.
All right. All right. So it's tied up.
Did you
All
tell
right.
what the word was?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, he did. He did. Probation. The word was probation. The password was probation. Excuse me. All right. Dr. J is going back into silence. Time for Lizzie to take a lead. All right, Lizzie. Your password is pornography. Pornography. All right. Dr. J is back. She's grooving to the music. All right. Lizzie, you have 15 seconds starting now.
Sex.
Rape.
Video.
Tape.
Watch.
Watch, you said?
No, no, did not get that. You were getting there though. The password was pornography or porn. I would have accepted porn.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I was gonna say Ron Jeremy, but that's kind of like 2 words.
She might have got that though. She might have got Ron Jeremy. All right. All right. This may be for the win, Robbie. This may be for the win. Let's see if you can get it. Rob,
You don't know
Dr.
the
J's
2
in
words.
silence now. All right. Robbie, your password is privilege. Privilege.
Oh my God, easy, easy.
All right.
easy.
Dr. J is back. Dr. J is back. All right. Robbie, you have 15 seconds starting now.
Rittenhouse.
Rifle.
Shelter.
Children.
Lenience.
What'd you say?
Lenience.
Got off.
No,
Privilege.
no.
Privilege.
I would have gone
Privilege.
somewhere with white privilege, male privilege, or something like that.
White. My first word would have been white.
White, male, because we used it so many times in the show. All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. How are we gonna do this? Let's see. We gotta find a winner. So they're tied 1-1. All right, Lizzie, we're gonna do one more round. Let's see if we can get a winner out of this round. Ready?
Ain't no
All right.
winner chicken dinner.
Dr. J is in silence. In silence. Your password is acquitted. Acquitted. All right. Dr. J's back, and you have 15 seconds. Starting now.
Not guilty. Hyphen.
Innocent.
Innocent.
Court.
Hey,
No. All right, this is for the win, Robbie. Let's see if we can get it. Oh, the
Wait,
word,
please.
the
Oh,
password
what's
was
Acquitted.
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 Oh,
All right, this might be easy. Let's see if you can get this one, Robbie. All right,
I'm sure it's easy.
it
I'm
may
sure
or may
you got
not be.
your
All right, we're
boy.
putting Dr. J back in silence. All right,
Mhm.
this is let's see. Either way, this is the last one. All right, and I'll just pick a winner. All right, your password is victim.
Password is
Victim. All right. All right. Dr. J should be back, and you have 15 seconds starting now, Robbie.
Aggressor.
guilty.
Opposite.
Aggressor, opposite. Defendant.
Rape.
She was getting there. She was getting there. All right. So I have decided the winner is Dr.
password was-
J.
The password was victim.
The password was victim. You were close, though. You were getting there. Dr. J is officially the winner. Thank you, Dr. J. All right, Dr. J, start thinking about your final thoughts for the show. So you're going to get the final thought for the show. So start thinking about something awesome. Right now, we're going to get in some shout outs. Starting with Liz Z.
Oh my God, I can't even believe I'm saying this, but shout out to the Washington football team, the AKA Anacostions, won their second in a row. But more importantly, shout out to the Washington Spirit, the DC women's soccer team. They won the National Women's Soccer title.
Oh,
Woo,
wow.
woo, woo.
Didn't know that.
Yes.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yes, ladies
Right.
first. Ladies first, y'all. Ladies
Wow.
first.
All right, Robbie, shout out.
A shout out to the residents of British Columbia who are being affected by massive flooding, mudslides, and landslides. If you haven't seen what's going on, it is on an unimaginable scale, and there's more rain underway. So it's not getting any better for them. If you have it in you to give, I know the Canadian Red Cross and United Way have set up donation pages to help the residents of British Columbia. If you've got it in you, help them out.
All right, Dr. J.
My shout out is to our audience. We're
Awesome.
going into the holiday season. It's going to get busy. It's going to be stressful. And for a lot of people around this time, it's a lot of loss. I know that I lost my dad a few months ago, and I have several other friends who are going through loss of people closer to them. So just try to be kinder to everybody. Just be a little nicer, be a little bit more patient, and love on each other.
All right. And my shout out goes to my lovely family. Looking forward to spending Thanksgiving with you all. Our final shout out goes to the winner of our Pet Shenanigans of the Week. This week is Mary Bassard and her dog Kobe, dressed in a cute snowman sweater with the caption, "Kobe is ready for the chilly weather."
Look at those ears. Beautiful, beautiful.
And to see all of the pets, or to post your favorite pet's photo or video, make sure you join the TLS Pet Shenanigans Facebook group, mypetshenanigans.com. The photo with the most likes and comments gets a shout out each and every week. And our shout outs are brought to you by Amore by AP. It's the holiday season, so go spoil yourself at Amore by AP online store. You get fast delivery and a variety of modern styles for the variety of beautiful women out there. It's Amore by AP.com. All right, and that is officially all of the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope you maybe learned something new, gained a new perspective, even got some things off your chest. Our team will be taking off next week to enjoy the holidays with our families, but we'll be back on December 5th with Luke Wool.
I am sleeping. 4 days sleeping.
Our guest is a man who developed biodegradable shoes with seeds in the soles, so you won't want to miss that. Don't forget the audio version of the podcast is available every Monday evening, 6 p.m. Eastern on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, the party is not over. We're going to continue to keep the cameras rolling for our after show exclusively on the TLSfans.com Facebook group. We definitely plan on discussing the disgusting Zach Stacy video. And our winner for our final thought of the day is Miss Dr. J, Dr. Robin Johnson. All right, Dr. Robin
Take us
Johnson,
out, Robin. Take us
close
out. Take us
us out.
I'm wishing everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday season, and may you guys have an awesome, great week. The full moon is over, so the new moon will be upon us, and new spirits and new energy.
Oh, you sound
All
just
right.
like
Beautiful.
All
Gianna.
right.
You fit in perfectly. Gianna would have said that. Tell us about the new moon and all that stuff. All right. So thank you, Dr. J, Lizzie, Rob B, and our people behind the scenes always working hard to bring an awesome show. That's me, Jose, Olivia E, and of course, Gianni. But most importantly, I want to thank you for watching and listening to our shenanigans each and every week. And we will see you next time.